All right, let's talk about something. A poison, really, that affects pretty much all of us every single day. And the crazy part is, we often don't even realize it's happening. We're going to call it the status trap.
You know that feeling? Like there's a shadow following you around, constantly whispering that you're just not quite enough? Well, that shadow, that's the optimized version of you. The you with more money, more followers, more everything. And that ghost, it's always setting the pace. And you're always feeling like you're one step behind.
So what's the engine powering this ghost? Well, it's something called a positional audit. Think about it. Every single time you walk into a room, or let's be real, every time you scroll through your phone, your brain is doing this lightning-fast calculation. It's totally subconscious, and it's always asking the same simple question. Where do I rank here, right now?
Okay, let's really dive into this ghost that's haunting you. That constant feeling of being behind, that nagging anxiety that you're not where you're supposed to be in life. Yeah, that's it. It all comes from this phantom.
Okay, and this is absolutely crucial. If you feel this way, it does not mean you're weak or flawed. Seriously, this isn't some character failure. It's a biological inheritance. It's ancient code, hardwired into us from our ancestors. Think of it like your brain's hardware, not something you just installed.
And that brings us right to the heart of the matter, your brain's addiction to status. To really get it, we need to look at the oldest, most primitive parts of our brain.
It really all boils down to raw chemistry. When your brain thinks your status is going up, boom, you get a hit of serotonin. That's what makes you feel calm, confident. You might even feel physically bigger. But when it senses your status is falling, your system gets flooded with cortisol, the stress hormone. And that makes you feel anxious, small, and you go into what scientists call a defensive state. It's this incredibly powerful primal chemical seesaw.
So why is this reaction so intense? Well, because for thousands and thousands of years, this wasn't about just feelings. This was literally life and death. Your spot on the social ladder decided if you got to eat, if you were protected, if you found a mate. High status meant survival. Low status? You were in big trouble. And guess what? Your brain is still running that exact same ancient program today.
And right here, this is the central conflict of modern life. We've got this ancient brain wiring that is just dangerously, totally mismatched with the world we live in now. We're basically fighting a war for our own serotonin, but the entire battlefield is changed.
This is where things get, well, kind of insane. Your brain evolved to handle competition in a tribe of, 50, maybe 150 people? Your rivals were the people in your village. But today you're looking through the glass of your phone and you're competing with the perfectly curated highlight reels of the top 0.1% of the entire planet. And the scariest part, your brain has no idea how to tell the difference between a real local rival and a digital hallucination on a screen.
So let's be crystal clear about this. This is not a fair fight. You are in a race against an algorithm that is literally designed to make you feel inferior. Why? Because when you feel inadequate, you consume more stuff to try and fix the gap. This is what we're calling the Serotonin War. So, how does the algorithm win this war? It exploits something we all have, an external scorecard. This is basically what happens when you hand over your self-worth to the crowd. If they give you likes, follows, a promotion, you feel amazing, right? Like a king. But if they're silent, it's like you don't even exist. It is a dangerously unstable way to build your sense of self.
And that's the trap right there. Trying to find security using that external scorecard, it's like being on a treadmill that has no stop button. Status is always relative. No matter what, there will always be someone with more. The second you think you've made it, the goalposts move again. It's a game you can literally never, ever win.
Okay, so that's the problem. That's the trap. And I know it can feel pretty hopeless, but there is a way out, and it's not about learning to play the game better. It's about deciding to play a different game entirely. It's about winning your inner game.
And the key to this is what we'll call the sovereignty shift. This is where you make a conscious, deliberate choice to fire the external scorekeeper, the crowd, and start creating your own internal scorecard.
All right, so how do you actually do that? Well, it comes down to a pretty straightforward 3-step protocol. Step 1, define your own virtues. Start measuring yourself by things like your integrity or your kindness, not your bank account. Step 2, apply the local tribe filter. This means you only really give weight to the opinions of the few people who truly know you.
And step 3, adopt what's called the Junzi mindset.
Now that last part, the Junzi mindset, comes from Confucian philosophy, and it's a real game changer. The idea is that true progress isn't about being superior to other people. It's about being superior to the person you were yesterday. The only real competition is with your past self.
When you boil it all down, it comes to this one simple truth. Real clarity comes the moment you realize that all those social pyramids we obsess over, they're just illusions. They aren't real. The only hierarchy that actually matters is the one you build inside your own soul, based on your values.
So, I'll leave you with this question. If that external pyramid is just an illusion, a game that's rigged so you can't win, what are you going to choose to measure instead? What's going on in your internal scorecard, starting today?
All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're talking about something that's running silently in the background of almost all our lives, a kind of psychological poison. We're going to call it the status trap. And I want to start with a question for you. No, seriously, think about this for a second. Are you haunted by a person who doesn't exist? You know, that ghost version of you. The one who's a little bit richer, a little more successful, has a little more recognition. That's the phantom we're constantly measuring ourselves against. You see, every single time you walk into a room, every time you scroll through your phone, your brain does this thing. It's called a positional audit. It's this ancient, super fast calculation of where you stand on some invisible social ladder. And look, this isn't some character flaw you have. This is biology. It's a survival mechanism from our deep past that's just gone haywire in the modern world. So let's get clinical about this. Let's actually diagnose this modern ailment. How does this haunting actually work on a biological level? Well, here's the crucial part. When that lightning-fast positional audit comes back and you perceive yourself as lower on that ladder, your brain immediately hits a button that releases the stress hormone cortisol. And that is the feeling. That's that nagging anxiety, that sense of being small, of perpetually being one step behind everyone else. And this really brings us to the root cause of the whole problem. It's a conflict. You could even call it a war between our ancient brain chemistry and the insane, overstimulating world of modern technology. Just look at how this primal switch works in our brain. On one side, when we feel like we have higher status, our brain rewards us with serotonin. We feel calm, we feel confident, right? But on the other side, when we perceive lower status, that switch just flips. The brain goes into what's called a defensive state. It floods our system with cortisol, and bam, there's the anxiety again. And this slide, wow, this just nails the modern tragedy of it all. Think about the scale here. For thousands of years, our ancestors were competing within a local tribe of maybe 50 people? That was manageable. Today, through our phones, we are in constant, unwinnable competition with the highlight reels of the top 0.1% of 8 billion people. The scale of our tribe is completely and utterly broken. And here's the kicker. This is the real glitch in the system. Your ancient brain, the one that evolved in that small tribe, it literally cannot tell the difference between a real-life rival standing in front of you and a perfectly curated digital hallucination on a screen. It triggers the exact same cortisol response. You're basically in a race against an algorithm that's designed to make you feel inferior. So what's the number one symptom of fighting this losing battle? It's when that shadow of your own inferiority takes over. It's when you start living by what the source calls the external scorecard, basically living your life as a slave to what the crowd thinks. This is such a perfect way to describe it, isn't it? Living this way is incredibly high risk. You're placing your entire peace of mind in the hands of people who, let's be honest, are way too busy worrying about their own status to care about yours. Your sense of self just becomes completely volatile. You're a king one minute and a ghost the next. And that's why it's a trap. It's unwinnable. That shadow, it whispers to you, right? Just get one more promotion, one more like, one more nice car, and then you'll finally feel secure. But it's a lie, because status is a relative metric. The moment you climb one rung, the ladder just gets longer. It's a treadmill with no off switch. As long as you're trying to be superior to other people, you will always, always be a slave to the hierarchy itself. Okay, so that's the problem. How in the world do you break free? Well, the solution is a fundamental pivot, a turning point. The source calls it the sovereignty shift. It's about moving from that fragile, chaotic external scorecard to a solid, durable internal one. So let's get to the actionable part of this. This isn't just some abstract philosophy. This is a clear, almost clinical protocol for taking back your own mind from the status trap. And here are the 3 steps. It's pretty straightforward. First, you have to define your own virtues. Second, you apply something called the local tribe filter. And third, you adopt what's known as the Junzi mindset. Okay, let's break each of these down. Step 1 is all about changing the game you're playing. It's a radical shift in what you even bother to measure. So you stop measuring yourself by net worth or promotions or how many likes you get. You start measuring yourself by internal metrics, things like cognitive integrity, courage, impulse control. Ask yourself, did I act with courage today? Did I control my impulses? These are things that nobody can ever take from you. Now, steps 2 and 3 are really connected. Applying that local tribe filter just means you stop letting digital strangers give you a positional audit. Simple. And then there's the Junzi mindset, which is this powerful concept from Confucian philosophy. It completely redefines what it means to be superior. A superior person isn't superior to other people. They're superior to who they were yesterday. It's about seeking excellence for its own sake, not for the applause. You know, when you really make this shift, when you start living this way, you begin to find this incredible clarity. You start to realize that this whole frantic race up some endless social pyramid, it was never the real game to begin with. And this, right here, this is the ultimate takeaway. That external pyramid of status and likes and followers, it's an illusion. It's a shared hallucination. But the archive, the internal record of your character, your integrity, the scorecard inside your own soul, that is the only thing that's actually real. So as we close this out, just remember that frantic scramble is a ghost's game. It's not real. The archive, the record of your own internal hierarchy, that's the only game worth playing. Subscribe to keep that archive open. Stay silent, stay wise.